Shall we?
Mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to this fortnight's episode of Fortnightly Frontier, a very special guestless episode of Fortnightly Frontier where it is just me, Darjanator, and my good buddy, Myre. And of course chat.
Yeah.
Because this is live.
Yep. Yeah.
Even if you're watching on YouTube, it's live. You can't escape it. Somehow. It just is.
This is too deep for me, man. But yeah, we're guestless this time around. I mean, like, our last guest was, of course, Xylo. Yeah, we need, how are we going to top that?
CR?
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Nah, I did talk to Xylo about maybe arranging something else. He will definitely look into it, but he said, don't rely on it, basically. So we're just going to have to do our best on our own for now.
It's fair enough. Speaking of CR, I mean, like, I think the last streamer or, like, content creator to interview Chris Roberts was probably Total Biscuit, no?
Oh, damn. Well, at the second CitizenCon that I went to, I got him to record an intro.
Okay.
For Fortnightly Frontier.
Oh, that's cool.
It's somewhere on the YouTube channel. I may sneak it in somewhere, but it's an old one, and he really had no idea what he was doing, and I don't think he liked it. So he just did it because he knew he had to. Fair
enough. He had to appease the unwashed masses. He's like, oh my god,
yes,
no.
Exactly.
But yeah. So today bringing things back to the present again. So like our topic is I guess linked to things that are coming in with 3.13, namely mining and mining improvements, and I suppose specifically the new subcomponent system that's coming in.
Yeah, because I'd also like to touch on what that would mean for other components that have subcomponents, because this isn't the first item that they described having subcomponents, but it will be the first one implemented with it. And there seem to be some, let's just say, differences in opinion and how that should be, and or at least in differences in expectations.
Yeah. So I believe that I always understood subcomponents as being this item that goes onto a normal component. So like, let's say that a normal component, first of all, is like, let's say your shield generator or your power plant or your quantum drive. Those are normal components. I think at some point, maybe 2016 or 17, CIG said that every single component will have subcomponents, and subcomponents will always be 3. So like, I think that was something that they said at least once, that subcomponents will always be 3. So when we first got mining consumables, and those were a trio as well, I think that I at least saw those as being the first iteration of subcomponents. It does seem as if that much has been clarified so far with the way that they are introducing subcomponents from mining for the mining tool on your prospector going forward into 3.13, because they're now introducing the idea of passive components that go onto your mining laser. And it does seem like those are that subcomponent system that we were talking about before.
Yeah, and they're basically the same as the consumables, except they don't consume, but they're not as powerful as the consumables, right?
That's right. So they fit the same slots, but they're passive. So like, but it also seems like they might also do things that some of the active ones couldn't do.
Yeah, like one of them is a filter for inert components.
Exactly, yeah. And it seems like something that's coming with these passive subcomponents that we haven't yet seen with the active ones is the idea of different tiers of the same sort of subcomponent. So for instance, with the consumables, we only have the one consumable that's called, like, let's say, the Stampede. It's just called the Stampede, and it does XYZ stuff. Like, it helps you mine faster. But with the subcomponents, like, they come in small, medium, large, and extra large, right? But they all still fit in the same component slot for the mining laser. Which is weird because when we normally think of sizes, like, things are limited to sizes, but it's called like M, L, and XL, but they don't actually increase in size. They just increase in the amount
potency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So
but still, these are augments. These are boosts, or buffs or debuffs to a component that already runs as expected.
Yeah.
Like, even without those, you can still use it. But I was sort of thinking, like, these subcomponents being like parts of an engine. Like, you have to have them,
Right.
Otherwise an engine doesn't run. But you can still replace them with better versions of that thing.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not it. A component without subcomponents is still going to do its job. But then you're gonna throw in, for instance, if you have a quantum drive, you'll throw in a subcomponent that lowers spool time or reduces consumption.
Yeah. So, like,
Stuff like that.
Subcomponents, I feel in that case, almost seem like a bit of a misnomer, or like just the easiest way of describing it, while also maybe perhaps not being the correct description. Because they're more like add-on attachments than they are actual, like, subcomponents that are required to make the thing run.
like a cylinder for an engine, or
a cylinder for a gun, or something. Yeah, you're right. Like, if we use the Escape from Tarkov model, right? Like, you have a rifle, but that rifle is made of a stock, a barrel, and everything else, and without any of those things, it's not going to run. And you would call those, well, I guess you would call those components of a gun, not subcomponents of a gun. But but yeah. But you brought up something. So right now, again, with the mining, which is currently the only gameplay loop that is, well, it seems like the first gameplay loop to use ships in a way that is the most fleshed out. And so we have the mining laser, we had mining consumables, and now we have subcomponents coming in with that to, to change how some of those things work. Things including, like a filtration to get rid of inert material. Things like making mining faster, things like making the signature lower and stuff. You brought up quantum drives as being another component, and you brought up two possible ideas for things that could augment your quantum drive. So, first of all, I think the question to ask is, if the mining laser is that gold standard for how components or subcomponents are going to work for components, does that mean that everything that we're seeing right here with the mining laser is going to translate over to every other component? So, for instance, will the quantum drive have three? We already know the quantum drive has three subcomponent slots, but will those include active and passive subcomponents?
Would be interesting. You could have a consumable for your quantum drive that immediately shoots you away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of having to wait for the spool, wait for the calibration, and then wait for the slow ramp up, and immediately you're at full speed.
Yeah.
But it's gone.
And possibly at a cost, maybe.
Yeah. Like I always thought that these consumables, they are powerful things. They really augment the operational capabilities of the component they're attached to.
Right.
So you would think that they'd be really tanking the durability of your component. Yeah.
especially if they were to do something like Instaspool, because you can imagine just how important and how useful a tool like that would be. You know, like you'd likely only be able to use such a subcomponent once, right? And then they'll be depleted. Otherwise, you know, like you got to think about the pirates and the bounty hunters and stuff like that, right? But yeah, like I could see something like that working. But then the question then comes in, you know, like complexity wise, right? Like right now, let's use, for sake of argument, let's use the prospector and let's use, you know, the prospector's consumables, right? So the prospector has a mining laser. Right now, the mining laser has consumables, and those consumables have a whole entire HUD that flips down that you can see, you know, 1, 2, and 3 for consumables, 1, 2, and 3, and you can use. If your quantum drive was to suddenly then also have consumables 1, 2, and 3, that would require an MFD just for that, no? And that would then require buttons just for that. And then think of all your other components on your ship, and all of a sudden, like, as a single-seater prospector, things get a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But it does open
people are
things...
People are surprised why UI is still not done.
But it does open things up exponentially, though, for multi-crew gameplay.
I would think that the mole and the prospector, they are dedicated mining vessels. So that's why it makes sense that they have a dedicated mining subcomponent panel. Just because you want the things that you use most in that position, you want them to be at hand. But for let's say for a fighter, you would have a panel with subcomponents that augment your weapons or maybe your power plant to augment to get more power into your guns.
Yeah.
Or, you know, but for most ships, I would guess that would be something that's buried inside a menu for the engineer.
Yeah, I mean, we have MFDs, right? And those MFDs have the little apps that, you know, you can like choose to monitor the things that are important to you. But it does then ask the question, like, if a fighter is able to have subcomponents for every single like item, then like it's going to be a bit of a clutter. It's going to be that like they're going to have to decide what they want to be active and what they want to be passive, because like being able to first of all, remember like, you know, all 20 to 30 odd subcomponents if they're all active, right? And what buttons they're bound to. I guess it will increase that skill ceiling a lot for like fighters, unless of course you just choose like, you know, the best passives. I feel like passives are going to be pretty important for
passive. Yeah, that will be the go-to first upgrade. Do you remember I think they showed some shopping pages for these passive subcomponents. Do you remember the prices?
I don't remember.
Are they quite
the prices.
high? I think they are very high, these passive subcomponents.
You mean for ISC last week?
Or 2 weeks ago, yeah.
I don't remember. I remember reading everything, but I don't remember looking at the prices. Yeah. But it's quite likely that they're going to be, because currently in Star Citizen, the only thing for you to do when you're playing is earn money, so you can get, you know, ships and that kind of stuff.
Until 3.13, probably in 2 weeks discussion.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the challenge at the moment right now for this alpha, to make it fun and a game that you want to come back and keep playing, is that like you have missions give you payouts, but apart from like money, which you can use to get like ships and components and that kind of thing, there really isn't much else to do. So like in order to keep people playing, you then kind of, I suppose right now, need to make it so that things cost more. Because the idea of like getting skins for like reputation and getting items from missions and items for participation and stuff is still very much in its infancy. Like for Halloween, you could get like a helmet for killing people, right? But for the Xenothreat event, you couldn't get the Xenothreat helmet as a trophy or something, which would have been nice, you know?
That was, yeah, Bossman's helmet was very cool looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it also ties into the whole thing that CR keeps saying, that the ships aren't the biggest expense in Star Citizen.
That's true.
Kitting it out with components and then subcomponents, that's gonna be the bigger part of your bill at the end.
Yeah. Very much like other games like Elite Dangerous, like I believe it's like what, 20 million credits or something for like, I don't know, ED pilots out there or commanders,
Anaconda, I think.
But yeah, like 20 million for like an Anaconda, which is like basically like an Idris-esque kind of ship to buy, but about 1 billion credits in order to like get the best components and then get those tweaked the way you want it to be. The hull is very much like just the very beginning of it. And it's one of those reasons the CIG give for, you know, like being able to pledge for these ships now and have the hull. It's like, what do I then do when the game gets released? Well, it's only the start of it. Technically speaking.
Yeah, you get the basic bit ship, and then it's up to you to upgrade it to, you know, to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
But single-seater ships, I believe the meta is going to be passives.
Passives, yeah.
Just the best passives, yeah. But then multi-crew ships, you're going to have miners with their own mining laser subcomponents. You're going to have the pilot who's probably not going to have anything. But ships have, you know, these ships have other seats on the bridge.
True.
Like, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say that. So I guess, again, this is, for those who don't like this kind of thing, I do apologize in advance. It's going to be a bit of a theory crafty kind of like next few moments. But like, so how we expect things to happen is that every single component in the game is going to have subcomponents. So like the mining lasers, each individual mining laser on a mining laser turret is going to have their own 3 subcomponents. They currently already do. Those are the consumables. But then also every single other item is going to have them, including your power plant, including your shields, including your coolers, everything. If that's the case, then like it's kind of up to you as the captain of the ship whether or not you want to like so if the pilot wants to be able to have control over the engine subcomponents, or if maybe the engineer who's downstairs in the mole is going to be able to do that for me instead. It really depends on what CIG want to do with that. You know, because like of the whole, hey Scotty, I need power to the, you know, engines and like, you know, power the phaser banks. I can't do it, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, like how much are you going to need to rely on people on these multi-crew ships?
Yeah, but you know, with multi-crew ships, how do you think it'll be possible to swap out the passive components out on the fly?
I don't think so. I think there was a Q&A on
probably
this.
They have like power going through them, so you wouldn't probably need to power the entire thing off so you don't get, you know, toasty.
There was a Q&A on this, I believe, and I think that they said that at least for now, the idea is you'll need to land to replace your subcomponents like you would any other component in the game. But I mean, at least for where the mining lasers are concerned, they're exposed. They look like, you know, you could in Half-Life 2 style, just like use your like tractor beam thing to like pull them up and put them back in. They do look like that, but I don't know if that's the gameplay that CIG would want to do. But when physicalized inventory comes in and it's more possible, who knows? But yeah, it's something
that would actually be cool. Yeah, I can imagine using the multi-tool with the tractor beam attachment to move those things.
Yeah,
like maybe you could even pull one out while it's still powered, you know, to sabotage a component. You know, because that I can imagine that would wreak a lot of damage if you just disrupt a circuit like that.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, like it's a very it'd be like okay, you can sabotage a mining ship's laser. I don't think any other like item or component in the game is as exposed as a mining laser is when it comes to like subcomponents.
Sure. Well, in the Carrack's power plant kinda is. You just have to get into the rear of the engineering and the door opens and there's the power plant. And the power plant is also going to have a door on it that opens.
Right. No, I'm talking about like outside the ship, externally.
Oh, outside, externally.
Yeah.
No, I mean, okay, after doing the hard part of getting onto somebody's ship,
right,
with the intent of sabotage.
So you see, the way that we've seen subcomponents be, and again, this is now years old, but this is how the models currently are in the game, and with the current changes to the mining subcomponents and stuff, it does seem like they're still on track to follow that same exact, like, I guess, goal. But most components in Star Citizen have like doors that slide open. You can clip your camera through and you can see the cylinders where you can put in subcomponents. Like those are actually already modeled in for almost every single component in the game. So yeah, I mean, maybe perhaps in the future, at some point, it would be something that you could just put in whenever you wanted to or take out whenever you wanted to. But for the first iteration, I think that it's.
Oh yeah, definitely for the first iteration. But yeah, once everything's physicalized, will that require you landing and powering it down so you get access in the first place?
Yeah.
Or could you use the cutting attachment on your? Well, if you're using a cutting attachment on your power plant, just melt the damn thing. So.
I mean, I think we'll have to wait and see on that one personally. But like, as far as like the components and subcomponents go, can you guess, or can you give me like what would you like to see for a consumable and a non-consumable subcomponent for, like, let's say you've given me quantum travel and shield generate, no, yeah, for the shield generator.
Shield generator. Okay, so for a consumable instant regen.
Okay.
Or at least like, okay, so you get small, medium, large, or medium, large, extra large. Why did you start with medium?
I don't know.
Like 25, 50, or 75% regen.
That'd be really cool. Yeah. That would make fights last so much longer. You know, like in certain. Yeah.
For a passive, maybe just, you know, a boost to one of the stats, like hardening, regen, and HP.
Yeah, that's true. So we do have a question in chat, and the question is, will subcomponents wear out? I believe the answer for that is yes. And so consumables already, like if let's say like a mining consumable has 3 charges, after the 3rd charge, it's just gone. Currently, it's kaput. For the passive ones, the passive subcomponents, we don't know. I would imagine that for the first iteration, they're just kind of permanently there, sitting down, giving you juice. But eventually, they will wear out and that kind of thing. First iteration,
I think that eventually it will. They will have the same characteristics as normal components, which means they have health, wear, and temperature.
Right.
I believe those are the stats. Yeah.
Yeah. First iteration, you can expect that like they probably won't, and if your ship blows up, you'll have to buy new ones, because that's what you currently have to do with mining, with the mining consumables. The mining passives will likely just follow that same rule set for now. But going forwards, yeah, like they will degrade over time. Things like the Carrack actually has an entire like room dedicated to repairing them, right? That's that workshop upstairs in the second deck. So yeah. Like, we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do with that, because no other ship has that. You know, it's a bit...
Yeah, so you're going to be over there. Oh, no, you do have a Carrack, but it would be funny. It was like, Darj, can you meet me at Port Olisar and get my shield subcomponents repaired?
Yeah. Like, I think CIG have kind of sold the idea of being able to just, like, dedicate any room to anything. Like, there will be, like, loose things you can place in a room to, like, you know, chairs, tables, that kind of thing. But that's a while away, I think.
Yeah.
So that's shield generators. What other components have we like touched? So mining we've done. Quantum travel we've done already, you know, like an instant spool or whatever. A passive one would just be like, you know, spool time. Generate a shield generator, you know, you said was you know, health boost, or like just like a recharge timer. What other components are there out there that, you know, could possibly benefit from like components and subcomponents?
Well, I think radar is going to be so they're not going to be selling different types of radar anymore. I believe it's going to be you'll be modifying your radar's function with subcomponents.
Okay,
like you have a subcomponent for that's, you know, that tunes it for mining,
right,
or for life forms or stuff like that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for sure. What do you think weapons will have subcomponents, or do you think that's a step too far?
Oh, Yeah, I think that's a step too far because you have size 1 guns
Mm-hmm.
that fit on the back of a Cyclone, or that a single person in a Titan suit can wield. Those seem kind of too small to have subcomponents.
Even if it's
Although,
just the one?
hmm, I don't know. Maybe they would have to start at a certain size.
Right. I could see that because
Because you do need the volume inside to actually fit those subcomponents.
that is very true. I mean, speaking of, maybe perhaps even like light fighters might not even have subcomponents at all. Because now that I'm thinking about it, at IAE, when they had all the components like laid bare, if you looked at the smallest components, they didn't actually have shutters for subcomponents.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think those are for like ground vehicles, so that's probably why.
Yeah, the size 0 ones, yeah.
Yeah.
It could. I don't know, but everybody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like size 0 has no subcomponents, size 1 has 1, size 2 has 2, size 3 and above have 3 subcomponents. Maybe.
Possibly. I mean, like, part of me wants to agree.
But then again, the mining laser is a size 1 on the Prospector, and that has 3 slots. Well, depending on which one, I think. Actually, just like the stock one only has room for 1 or 2.
That's true. That's true. The Hofstad only has 1 subcomponent. Or so I guess it will depend on it'll vary from component to component. It seems.
Yeah. Okay.
Like different companies,
which makes perfect sense. Like if you get the cheapest one, you wouldn't expect it to have all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Do you think that like armor and stuff?
But just remembered for the best subcomponent for life support, pine scent.
Best passive. I mean, like, yo, what about like a subcomponent slot for your quantum drive to change the color of the quantum effect?
Oh, I don't think there will be a dedicated one for that. I think the latest what they said is like every manufacturer of quantum drives is gonna have their own effect. Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past them that after they rework the quantum drive particle effect thing to be more modular and tied to the quantum drive,
right?
That each subcomponent could slightly tweak something about the look.
I mean, come on, man, give me this. I gave you pine scent. Although, I mean, the more I think about it and the more I think about Star Citizen, pine scent might actually work. Because like it could be like, okay, like it'd be like pine scent, and underneath it'll like give you a whole bunch of like random buffs, and maybe like your NPCs
boosts morale.
Exactly, like there's a whole morale system that like CIG has talked about in great detail. It's going to be tied to like their archetype system, which is basically like a twin of like Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system and all that stuff. Like the clothes you wear around your NPCs based on their like stats and based on their history, like RimWorld style, will like let's say you hire an NPC that like background wise, like they come from like a space station, like they're rough and rowdy, they hate the UEE. That's their rap sheet. If you wear nothing but like but Castic Arms gear with like UEE insignias and stuff, they will have a lower morale than if you dressed up in like Clash armor with a Why Not helmet. So maybe pine scent for somebody like that, not so good. It may be blood scent or something,
Oh yeah. Also, you mentioned like clothes. Like if you go to say Orison, the very nice and prim and proper future landing zone. And if you dress like a hobo, you may not get the best looks when you walk around, and you may be shunned by shopkeepers and stuff like that. But if you dress up, to your surroundings, you'll be greeted with glee in their heart.
It'd be so funny if like the chairman's club that like has lounges and stuff in places in the verse, like in Lorville, if there was a dress code and they wouldn't let you in unless you had like your top hat on or something.
Or that suit from Microtech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can bring guests only if they're dressed nicely, otherwise they'll be stopped at the door.
Yeah.
But back to subcomponents, do you think that so you talked about the Titan suit. Do you think that certain heavy armors might also have subcomponent slots?
Well,
Because the reason why I bring the question up is because, so you said that or we both agreed that your hull in the game, so like the shell of your ship is the start.
The chassis.
Like you buy a javelin even, and the javelin doesn't even come with weapons. You have to like do everything yourself, right? So with armor, because not everybody is going to want to be a space pilot or whatever like that, I feel like it should in some cases have that same progression feel, that same kind of like you need this to get to this to get to that vibe. And I feel like if you were to then even like get the best, or like when you get to that tier of like really high level heavy armor, that like you could further subspecialize by getting subcomponents for it.
Yeah. It just depends on. Well, we already have size 0 components for land vehicles. Like where do you go in sizing to fit on a suit of armor? Like -3?
Well, no, I mean, you just like give it a whole different size rating for like
just wearable, yeah,
for personnel, because
personnel,
because your Scourge railgun is a size 5 weapon. Your Custodian SMG is a size 3 weapon for like personnel. So like,
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
all right. So same system but different category.
Yes.
So right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it eventually will probably be that way, because let's say if you want to keep your energy weapon recharged, you would need to have a power plant on your on your heavy armor. Yeah. I mean, you will generate energy for the power plant by moving, right?
Yeah.
Instead of using fuel, but you can't. I guess at that point it will be a converter or something like that, to power up your energy weapons. But stuff like that, Who knows? Maybe eventually you'll even have like a component that generates EVA fuel for you.
True. I mean, when we get down to like FPS stuff, if we want to like bring subcomponents to it, there's so many things that like your player has, because your player, like when they're in a space suit, is essentially like in a miniature spaceship. There are components upon components on your suit that they could just turn into like
that
components.
That is the plan. That is the plan. Like, is to unify the systems. That's also going to become apparent when they rework EVA to use IFCS, which probably means finally decoupled EVA, and then eventually EVA fuel will be expendable, so you'll have to use either the grappling hook, the mode of the tractor beam, or just regular push pull.
So like you could do things like even with like the lightest armor and stuff, or lightest undersuit, have like life support as a component that you could like upgrade, so that there's always something that you could do better or have a better thing of, like just so that there is that degree of progression, even if you're not like upgrading a spaceship. There's a lot of like personal improvement as well, especially like let's say you're in an organization that like rolls in a capital ship most of the time. You want as a player to like it's think of like Star Trek Adventures that we do on the Astropubs channel, right? Like we have the Vasquez, we have like our spaceship, and we can upgrade that, but there's also personal improvement as well. In Star Citizen we don't have levels, so like there is nothing in that kind of regard for us to like use as a marker of our own personal improvement. If our ship or our organization was to dissolve, then looking at our character, we have nothing. But like I feel like there needs to be more personal things for you to build up, that more than reputation. like
Yeah. Well,
physical
yeah.
wise.
Repetition, I think, is going to be like the first step towards that. Like, you will be able to glean some things from that. Like, if you are in bad standing with just about every mission giver and organization in the verse, you may start getting the inkling, like, am I the asshole here? Hopefully, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're getting that new reputation system, or at least like the HUD for it, or the new UI elements for it. Yeah. Whether or not, I mean, like, I don't expect it to be deep at all. I mean, like the proof of concept shows so much depth to it. Like it's so there are two tabs, right? One tab is like it shows you all the mission givers and it gives you their backstory and it gives you like your current reputation with them, like from red to green as a bar, and also your reliability and from red to green as well. Reputation, I guess, just means like successful missions or whatever, and like the higher it goes, the better the missions. Reliability is like the inverse, and if it goes too low, then they might even stop giving you missions altogether because they're just tired of losing money off you. But, yeah. But like the other tab is companies, right? And with the proof of concept, they were like, a whole bunch of companies, but it goes so much deeper than what I was expecting to see for the alpha, because at least in the proof of concept, again, and I have to stress that because, it's like maybe it has nothing to do with like what we'll see. And it's a big question mark for me. But like they show you not only like all these companies like Anvil, ArcCorp, Hearst and Dynamics, even like ship manufacturers, right? But then on that one column, then when you click on one, it opens like several different like verticals, I guess you could call them, of like employment you can do. So like with Aegis Dynamics, you can be a courier, you can be security, you can be logistics, you can be a spy, and then like you can level up in each and every one of these things. I wonder how much of that we'll see, like with this first iteration, and what the idea is.
Well, considering we're getting it in the next patch in 3.13. And this is the first time we've seen the proof of concept in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very short time span between them revealing the proof of concept and actually implementing it in game.
Yeah. But without touching on it too much, just because like I feel like that is a podcast topic in and of itself. I an interesting thing, a really quirky thing there is that like when you click on a company, it tells you who that company's enemies are. So does that mean that if the more successful missions you do for that company, the lower your reputation gets passively with another, so you can't get like exalted with one without getting like hated by another?
I'm getting GTA 1 and 2 flashbacks because that's exactly what happened. They had 3 gangs, and it was a love-hate triangle between them.
Okay.
So you got better in one, immediately the other 2 started hating you.
Right.
So that would mean like, and you had different ranks. Like if you got into their territory, if you were neutral, they would just leave you alone.
Yeah.
If you got slightly ticked them off, they would start sort of harassing you. If they were really ticked off, they would shoot on sight.
Right. So we'll have to see, because like ship manufacturers fall on that list, and eventually you can imagine that they'd give you missions too. But whole cities were also on that list too. I think I'd rather be enemies of a ship manufacturer than I would an entire city or like jurisdiction.
Right, because that means you can't go there and you're arrested on sight.
Exactly. Although in the lore, like ship manufacturers do own quite huge amounts of space as well. I mean, Crusader Industries owns Crusader. So yeah, it's something to look forward to, and once it comes out, I feel like it deserves a whole podcast topic for itself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of 3.13, when do you think it's gonna hit?
Well, a lot of these features right now on the roadmap are locked in. Everything but ship to station docking. So like I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff to see. We have the C2, we have the all these other ships and stuff that are coming with it. But it doesn't necessarily seem like from a technical standpoint that there is anything too deep that has blockers that they've at least mentioned, right? So maybe the first of next month. Is that too hopeful?
Well, for the PTU, it's definitely not too hopeful.
I'm talking about live.
Talking about live. Oh,
yeah,
damn, yeah, that is too hopeful.
We've had that before, though. We've had at least one patch where like it came out the day of the next quarter. We've had it at least once. It almost feels like this is one of those things because everything is committed. But then again, it might just be my initial reaction to this new roadmap and how it works and what locked in and committed actually means.
Yeah, because we lost the actual tracker, like how many features or whatever this no, not features, but how many steps this feature has and how many are completed. Yeah, we lost that.
Yeah, production. I don't understand production at all. I don't envy them and their esoteric way of thinking. But they call those like steps. They call them stories. So like 42 stories out of 50, and like the 50 is called an epic. Like, just I don't know, man. Like when I think about like producers, I just like imagine them with their heads up their asses. Like that's where their monitors are. Like it's so weird.
Nah, man. That's just agile.
Then whoever invented agile has his head up his ass because it's weird.
Yeah. No, but I kind of understand that their movement away from the sort of progress bar way of looking at it, just because it's so esoteric. It's not like actually making a ship.
Yeah,
like okay, today I welded 72 panels on this ship, and that is this much percentage towards the full completion of the chassis. It's
yeah, I do miss that part of the old roadmap, even though it was never, ever an indication about like how close they were to completion. It, at least, I don't know, it just gave you that kind of like
it made it feel like they were actually working on it. Like they were accomplishing tasks. It were tasks, tasks, not that's
the tasks were called stories, but like internally. But like the thing is, right now, I mean, those tasks made it so that you could feel the development, even if it wasn't exactly how it was, because each task was story or whatever. They aren't equal size. But right now, what we have is more of a binary system where it's either gray or it's blue. Now, all these features, bar one, are now blue. So does blue mean like 50 out of 50, or does blue mean, close? We don't know that anymore.
I think it just means we're confident we'll be able to finish it in time.
Yeah, but what does in time mean? Like
exactly.
There we go. That's basically where we're at right now. Yeah. So we've just hit the 42-minute mark now, Darj.
Oh damn! Are you saying that you're out of waffles to waffle?
Well, I mean, I think to conclude, right? We've touched upon like subcomponents. We've talked upon like where that could lead us from what we currently have with mining and how that would affect the game. And again, I feel like subcomponents and stuff are really going to feed into multi-crew gameplay and make that so much richer than what like could previously have been. Are you writing?
Just taking notes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, like
actually wasn't listening at all.
Yeah. But like as I was saying, like we have subcomponents in mining, and when you like bring that towards other components and stuff, it's going to elevate multi-crew gameplay, because like before, the thinking is that, like, okay, well, I'm the shield operator. I can see the shields. I maybe perhaps can see on a radar where the enemies are. I can like then strengthen the shields based on where the enemy's positions are. But now with subcomponents, like if I am, like in a freelancer, for instance, and I am, in that back seat that does nothing right now, and my job is to look at the shields, I can now go, okay, hey, pilot or captain, put some active like a component instead of like your passive subcomponents, because then I can reactively do stuff based on what's happening around me. So I think that it'll really elevate that kind of gameplay once we get there. And of course, maybe we'll see it in FPS stuff, but it hasn't necessarily been confirmed. But yeah, so with that said and done, I guess you wanna roll us out, Darj?
No, I'll let you do it.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening and watching to us live on Twitch TV. This has been the Fortnightly Frontier. Today, we've been talking about some minor improvements. Yeah, you can catch us on Twitch TV every fortnight here on twitch.tv/Myre. You can also find us on youtube.com/Fortnightly Frontier. Is that a thing? Is that it? Is that the link?
That is the thing.
All
that
right.
is the link.
You can also find us where all good podcasts are hosted. Look us up. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Maybe with a guest, maybe without, but otherwise, until next time, guys, we'll see you. I've been Myre, and over there, as always, has been Darjanator. We'll see you in the verse.
Around in the verse. Damn it!